Here's Orla. She is a Reform councillor candidate for Epping. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you, Alex?
I'm all right, my darling. How are you?
Good.
You little
I'm
fascist,
well.
you Nazi, you racist. Look at you.
All of the above. All of the above.
Aren't you a monster? I mean, the thing I find so astonishing about this is the people who want to shut down the debate, the people who want to censor us, the people who gaslight us and tell us lies, the people who try and evade democracy, the people who demonise anybody with a different political opinion are the very people calling everybody else the fascists.
Much back to your point about being a narcissist. You're a narcissist. You point out the narcissism in somebody else. It's ironic. You know, the thing is, McDonnell is the godfather of Labour, him alongside Corbyn, you know, and these people you just can't, we know, you try and have a decent conversation with them and an open conversation about their views, and they shout Nazi, fascist, blah, 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 the same thing all the time. You know, over the last few months, I've been very busy with the protests in Epping outside the Bell, and that's the rhetoric you always get. The left always throw that at you. The irony is, a fascist is somebody who is believes in authoritarian dictatorship, suppresses the opposition, rejects democracy. I mean, that's Starmer. I mean, that is Starmer in a nutshell. So it's absolutely bizarre that they call Farage a fascist when Starmer is the ultimate fascist.
I mean, what's interesting about this, it actually takes me back to what I've just been reading that Herma has said here, where he talks about we have to be, I'll say what he says verbatim. I think it behoves us all in our language to be very clear about the fact we have an extraordinary, diverse, multicultural society, because we have seen in recent weeks some of the dangers when we are not, of our minority communities feeling fear and under threat. Now, what I think that people aren't talking about enough is when you have people like the Socialist Workers' Party saying, stamp on the necks of the fascists, Nazi scum off our streets, calling people dangerous, basically saying that these are monstrous human beings who are an existential threat to human life, what that provokes in reaction is so dangerous. I remember as a Brexit Party MEP being dragged over to College Green, where you had that bozo with the megaphone, Steve Bray, paid for activist, and the legacy media loved it. They had their scaffolding set up. They liked all the sort of mad mob with their berets, the people who are too old to go to Glastonbury Festival, who should probably learn some embroidery or join the WI instead, and, doing hullabaloo and adult rag week to try and reverse Brexit. But I was having chunks of hair pulled out. I was being spat on. I needed a police escort to that interview at the height of Brexit. And my fear is when people like McDonnell say Nigel Farage is Hitler, it is to me a dog whistle for some lunatic out there, like that Crooks one who tried to shoot Donald Trump, to try and put a bullet between his eyes, to some mad leftist thinking that actually stopping reform, physically harming reform, or anybody who represents them, is a perfectly justifiable and valid target because they'll be saving the planet by doing so. I think this stuff is so dangerous.
It is dangerous. It is dangerous. And people, we talk about this, and I've been on various shows on talkTV talking about this. Most people who are looking to vote reform, who are voting reform or standing for reform, are normal, everyday people, most of which have never been in politics before, but have seen what is happening to this country, have seen, the unfairness, have seen the fact that our very people, the British taxpayers, have been put at the back of the queue, that are that are the ones that are suffering. They're the ones. So we're the people that are standing up and saying, we've had enough of this. Reform are our only. People feel that reform are the last chance, the only chance that we have to get some kind of, normality back to the craziness that has happened in the last few years. But what happens is, as you say, someone like McDonnell says something absolutely outrageous, comparing Nigel to Hitler, and then some nutter turns up and attacks somebody like me, somebody like a lady that's standing outside one of the hotels, trying to promote the fact that, or not promote, but, trying to bring attention to the fact that these men in these hotels are illegal, you know, migrants that have come in with no documentation. We don't know who they are. So concern about their children and the well-being of their communities. And suddenly you're a target for a left-wing nutcase who then throws things at you, verbally and physically, and makes you out to be a monster. So they're demonising.
Have you faced stuff like that, Orla? Because you've been at the heart of these protests in Epping Forest. Have you felt scared?
Oh my God. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, not just when we've been there and there's been counter protesters, which there has been, and they shout horrendous things and shout at the kids and, you know, call you every name under the sun. Put that aside, but even online, you know, or many of us get absolutely horrendous insults and threats online. Why? What? Because we're saying, oh, actually, 31,000 men have come across the channel this year. We don't know who they are. And yesterday in a court, a 5-year-old girl, or a Sudanese man was up for raping a 5-year-old girl. And we're the monsters?
Don't. Orla, seriously, it worries me. I do feel like we live in a dystopian world and the fascists are calling everyone else the fascists.
Correct, absolutely. And it's, as you say, it's dangerous. It's just so wrong. It is dangerous. Another way round.
Yeah. At some point, I mean, look, we had this sort of flurry, didn't we, after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and everyone went, look, this has been provoked by the left with all the things that they say, and they're back at it again. Orla, thank you ever so much for joining me. It's been fantastic.